what's unique around here is that combination of interest in the original work and the interest in fine printing, trying to bring the two together to make exciting books. There is a beautiful clarity in the letter forms themselves. When you combine those letter forms, there's a very simple elegance that the type lends to the word. It's not a quirky type. It doesn't distract the reader from what he's reading. But yet the type gives a wonderful presence to the page, to the physical page. I always had a great tradition of small private presses. And while I wanted to turn out books from the Windhover Press that were, well, as beautiful as I could make them, my real concern was with the literature, poetry, plays, original works of literature. At the Windhover Press, each book is set by hand. The type is all set by hand, and then the type is made into forms and printed by hand on hand presses, very slowly, very methodically. If I have a manuscript in hand, I might set up part of it in 2 or 3 of the types and find out which one works the best for my purposes. The satisfaction comes from not having specified work for someone else to do, but in doing the work itself, getting my hands on the type, making the whole process part of me. That way the failures and the successes and so forth are all mine. I can't sit down and design a book on a piece of paper. I have to design it with the type. Set type, take proofs, look at things, change things, always be working with the materials with my hands. I'll set up a poem in a type and mess around with it and look at it and see if that's what I want. There's another element. If I want to use this paper, which I like very much, and this type happens to go very well with this paper, and the two of them work very well with the manuscript itself, then the book sort of designs itself in those terms. And then I'll be faced with the problems of, margins and illustrations, if there's to be any, the use of color, and it does become such an organic process for me. I get a great satisfaction out of setting type, out of operating those funky little old presses. They're very recalcitrant. They don't do what you want them to. There's no great precision built into them. So they're as good as I am. The harder I work and the more I get in touch, sort of in a Zen way, with the operating of the press and fixing these little details, the better the process works and the better the final product is in terms of its printing quality. I really love the hand parts of the operation. I love setting the type. There are parts that I like less than others, but I mean, they all have some meaning to me. They're all simple acts. I mean, nothing's very complicated about any of the small components of printing. The kind of printing we do is letterpress printing. Letterpress is merely the inking of a surface and pushing that surface into the paper, which leaves the ink sort of embedded in the surface of the paper. My kind of letterpress printing uses the hand press, and the hand presses I have, though they're made of steel, are essentially the same press that Gutenberg used when he invented printing. He could come into my shop and within about an hour start printing his own books. We are practicing a craft as it was practiced years and years ago. Every detail, from the smallest to the largest, deserves the same care and attention, because if the small things are not cared for, the total work is going to fail. In other words, it's a whole process to me, and I have to be involved in the whole process. One of the things I wanted to do in setting up the press was making the press a working museum. In other words, I'm trying to preserve an historical method that will soon be as extinct as the dodo bird. That was to be part of the function of the press. The other one, of course, was to print books and print them well, and print things that were good texts.